It's still March 11th, 2024. I did a second video this morning and somehow it didn't take. And a lot of people scattered because my car is bugged and they sold the login. I uploaded a video of me and my ex-husband talking when I was 15. Okay. This is hard for me. Okay. When I was 15, a virgin, most 15-year-olds are, I had been going out with this one guy. We were supposed to go over to his grandmother's house, and when we got there, she wasn't home. We were going to watch TV, and he acted like he was going to kiss me, and then he covered my mouth with his hand and knocked me down. I went to scream, and he took a pillow and shoved it over my face. And I'm trying to scream, and I feel a lot of pain, and then I pass out from the lack of air. I wake up with my underclothes on the floor, and I have been raped. And he assaults me again. I am in complete shock. I have marks on me from the assault. And he takes me home, and I go in, and my mother's seen the marks. I did a lot of like zombie walking, where you can't believe something just horrible just happened. She sent me down to my sister's. Okay, she was one of those religious fanatics, and she didn't want the stigma of her daughter being raped, so she sent me away. I was a 15-year-old little girl. I was in bed sleeping, and I woke up in a pool of blood. I grabbed the bedding, and she lived in a tiny little home. The washer and dryer was in the kitchen, and I'm trying to throw everything in the washer, and I'm covered and soaked in blood. I go to throw everything in because I'm afraid I'm gonna get in trouble. And she looks up and goes, "What on earth?" And I look down, and I'm bleeding out on the floor, and my eyes roll back in the back of my head. Next thing I remember is being in a gynecologist's office, and the doctor screaming at me, "Who did this to you? Who did this to you? Who did this to you?" And I kept fogging in and out. I got put to bed for a week on antibiotics and pain pills. When I got after for a whole week, I wasn't allowed out of bed. When I got well enough to go to school, I would freak out being in public, and I would walk out of school and walk to Great Aunt Thelma's house and sit down in her closet and cry. And when I got well enough, they let me come home. Okay. The guy that raped me started stalking me. This 21-year-old asked me out, and I went out with him thinking he'd leave me alone. The other guy that raped me. I'm a little 15-year-old kid. I told that guy what had happened. Okay. He was nice to me for about a month. And then he did it. Part of that church. Okay. Religion. Tied my arms above my head, put a bag over my head, and shoved a vibrator down my underwear. And left it there, and left me tied up. Until I was soft. And then he assaulted me. And raped me. I was 15 years old now. Raped by 2 adult men. The first guy that raped me was 18, and this guy's now 21. He looked at me and he apologized afterwards, but then he said, you know, who would want you? You've been raped by 2 men. I was 15 years old. Scared out of my mind. That guy was so dominant over me, controlled almost everything. Okay. And time I was 16, I was pregnant with my oldest. And he was so controlling over everything that I had a pillow in front of me. And he's like, put that pillow down. I'm like, no. He punched the pillow. And I screamed, and my whole family ran in the room. We were just watching TV, and he ran out the door. My dad told him, if you ever get near my daughter again, I'll put you in jail for statutory rape. Okay. He went and signed the paperwork for us to get married. He said, I won't even let him near you ever again. He could have killed that baby. And I told him I didn't want to see him again. He could have killed my oldest. Okay. I uploaded a tape of my ex-husband. It was actually his cousin that had raped me the first time. I had told him before we got married. And he said, I'll make sure he'll never touch you again. He made me go when they had Christmas parties. And I didn't want to go, and I would cry. And I would get sick. And he would make me sit there and be nice. And I would get physically ill the thought of being around him, and I would cry and cry and cry. He'd still make me go, knowing what that monster did to me when I was 15. Okay. Some teenagers were outside in North Canton today, so the police told us not to say a word to her. That church had her raped before. And now they've had her raped now. And they're the ones having people do everything to her. And they're the ones telling everyone to say no one should ever want her again. Because they had her raped. And they had her raped before. I was a little girl. Now, do I think it's funny that FBI agent John told Apostolic Church of Burlington that he knew I was being drugged, being raped, and he didn't care? And I'm waking up with bruises. I'm throwing up, heart racing, almost passing out, and a severe personal infection. And we came from city water to well water, and the well water was so dirty, it was orange brown. And I thought it was making me sick washing my hands in it and just taking a shower in it, and it was making my personal area infected. And I almost thought I was getting cancer where I had all those marks and bruises. And I'm going to the doctor. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I thought there has to be something more toxic in that water where I had iron bacteria and iron gas in it that it's making me this sick just washing in it. Because I never seen or talked to anybody. Now I want you to think of sexual predators preying on a victim in their home that's alone, stalking in a sextortion act, breaking in, roofing their 2-liter Diet Coke, or stabbing it with a date rape drug. So they're sleepwalking and tell them to say something stupid. Beating, raping them, and the victim wakes up and throwing up and doesn't remember anything. Or takes a drink out of a Diet Coke in the room, gets dizzy, and you thought you worked too hard and you can't figure out why you're so sick. Now you tell me, and I never seen or talked to anybody before the FBI. You tell me where that federal police officer, for any reason, would find it okay for a woman to be drugged, beaten, raped. You try to blame Strange's lie of faking you were sick 15 years before, and he was going along with it. He was going to let them harm me. And he told 300 people at least that. And they made fun of him. Lighthouse Tabernacle. Katie's sister Jody and her friends publicly mocked him. June 7th, 23 in Walmart 62. The sheriffs have that tape of them publicly mocking him for falling for the photoshopping of washing and roofing confessions in a sextortion scheme. Nobody's that stupid to fall for that. Sheriff David is Mike DeWine's cousin, and I was friends with him for a while. And I talked to him about this, and he wanted to know if our local police were slow. He said everything's digital. You can Photoshop everything from words out of sentences into others. You put somebody in another room or another scene. We all know everything is Photoshopable. Nobody's allowed in your home. And they know that. And Rufy's your sleepwalking. And they all know that too. And he's like, and there's no way nobody could ever get away with this. And what is wrong with them? And that agent can't talk to you like that. And they know that. And they should have arrested him the first day. And they should have found somebody to help you. I've talked to Sheriff Joe out of this area. Sheriff Bill. I've talked to another Sheriff Dave. Then another officer. They can't do any of this. I have also talked to someone from the Stark County Prosecutor's Office. This is a big fraud scheme of photoshopping of washing and roofing confessions and a sextortion act. But that church, someone telling it, having, like this kid said, the police already told them they know they're the ones having people do stuff to me. Say stuff about me and tell people that no one should ever want me again. And having people hurt me. They need to arrest them. Domestic terrorism is a group of people to further their own beliefs with religious or political backing, with threats or harm to human life against the U.S. constitutional laws. You get listed a domestic terrorism group, you can go to jail the rest of your life. Do you know for Agent, they said it was John up at that church telling on me. The one they made a fool out of. Do you know with tampering with a witness and tampering with evidence, you can get 20 years without the embezzlement charges. Somebody needs to arrest him. Like Sheriff David said, if he took your money, you are not that agent's only victim. You are not his first. He is stealing from cases by victimizing people. And he can't ask you to stay quiet. He doesn't have that kind of authority. Criminal attorney. He's only a higher police officer. He doesn't have that kind of authority. Prosecutor's office. He's only a higher police officer. He don't have that kind of authority to ask you to stay quiet, and the police know that. And on top of it, he confessed he talked to the church people in the Vegas. They made fun of me for some guy named Pete framing me and some doctor from Altman Hospital selling information. Well, they say it's from Altman Hospital. He just says some weird name. I told you I thought it was the lady that was using my insurance before, and it was probably one of Dave's girlfriends committing insurance fraud, and I thought maybe it was hers, but he was yelling at me so bad I couldn't think fast enough, and I couldn't hardly get a word in edgewise. And then to find out the guy's not even a doctor, but people have been saying it was supposed to be a doctor from Altman Hospital, and Altman Hospital acknowledged it was none of their doctors. And then investigators, they looked him up, he wasn't even a doctor. And the laws are HIPAA violation. No doctor of yours can talk to any of the police or feds without your written consent. HIPAA violations, they are to arrest them for 10 years and a $250,000 fine. They can sue them. Like the police said, it wasn't even funny. They said they had a doctor involved in this. It's not funny that they walked into a federal police office and told a federal officer that they were stalking me on their own. The laws of stalking, if you're stalking somebody with button cameras, it can go into like cyber stalking. You go to jail for that, let alone sextortion, drugs, speed, rape. They have kiddie porn of my grandkids using the bathroom. Human trafficking me under drugs. Attempted murder. And a sextortion by photoshopping washing scenes and drugging me up and telling me to say stuff. They had life in federal for confessing to that federal officer, and his job and sworn duty, he was to obey the law and arrest them for confessing. Do you know if they, like people have said over the last few days, we've been telling these people, never mention a word of a tape before. She won't own them. The law states I can sue them for physical and psychological harm. And then for human trafficking me too. Yeah. Just like you could sue, like December 30th, 23, and Altman Hospital. Nurses were talking. No one's ever talked to these people. They had somebody impersonating a doctor from Altman Hospital selling information. The hospital gets sued. It gets shut down. And I would own them if they would make me a millionaire. And find out it's just, it's just some guy saying he was from here. No one's ever backed those doctors from before. My God, they were lying so bad they said she had brain tumors and there was nothing wrong with her. And those doctors were just ripping off her insurance. And it was medication errors making her sick before. No one's ever backed that. Then officers walking by, all those doctors were lying. Yeah, none of this is funny. It was medication errors made her sick before. Even the police know that. It's also documented I was framed from the Dark Cartel, August 22nd, 23rd. Officer Mark over my case documented it. That it was a drug cartel that framed me. It probably did before. Documented it because they always knew the tapes before were them and not me. These people were breaking in 18 and 19. They had drugged me up and told me to say stuff and photoshopped everything. They need to arrest him. They thought a judge, people were saying, oh, they thought a judge was doing it from up there. They thought it was Ludick. They framed Ludick. Had Alex dress up in a beard, walk around him. They've showed up in the last month. They went up to that. They want a reliable witness. That judge said he seen that guy in a beard and robe. Was only laughing at him for being silly. He didn't know who he was. They were telling everybody he was his friend. And he was letting them harm me. He didn't know who he was. They set Ludick up. I'm telling you. Where they said that I was nothing but a pawn. The drug cartel was using me as a pawn. They were getting even with the Portage County courthouse. They put a lot of the drug cartel from Ravenna to Canton in jail in 17 and 18. So they set those judges up to look like they're human trafficking, drug beat raping people, sex trafficking videos of women and children, and that they're human trafficking people under drugs, that they're corrupt. And it was just Alex in a beard acting stupid. The stripper's brother. They've been framing those judges. And then the point of them, I was talking to an officer tonight, and he's like, hopefully this shit will be behind you. And he said that is pretty stupid that people thought that a judge could get away with crimes. They can't. It is stupid. They've been using people's stupidity and low IQ. Stupidity and low IQs. Judges are normal people just like us. They commit a crime, they go to jail. They are not above the law. And they're not going to be stupid enough to put their name on file crimes to get arrested. They were framing. Realize what's going on. Pull back the facade of who all these people are. Says stripper, her brother Alex, impersonating a retired judge, and the drug cartel scamming everyone. When I went out to eat on Sunday, they were talking. They said, if she does ever move, we'll have to tell that local police department that the drug cartels are running scams on people. Realize that's it. Everybody turn them in. There's a sheriff in Ohio took $100,000 payoff from the cartel to look the other way. And enough people told on him. They investigated. They arrested him. I'm gonna put this.